This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
We promised you we're going to switch gears, talk a little football. Michelle and I experienced something we've never experienced because that's kind of what 2020 is all about. All of us experiencing things we've never experienced. You can follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. You can catch her exceptional work at the Miami Herald website as she covers Inter Miami on a daily basis. So Wednesday, I tell you, Michelle, I heard the rumblings and all that stuff, and then I hear, if the Orlando game goes on and they can't reach the Orlando and Nashville representatives, then if that game goes, we're going to play. And I thought for sure we were going, and then protests started and games were canceled all around the league. How was your experience and your viewpoint of it all? And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it was it was a very bizarre night, to say the least. I drove about an hour from my house to get up there. And, in the late afternoon when I saw what was happening with the NBA, I actually said to my husband, I'm like, I wonder if the MLS guys will follow suit, But then I thought, I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. So I went up, and when I got there, the players are usually on the field at 7 for warm-ups, and it was 7, and they weren't out there. So I started wondering a little bit, but then they finally came out at around 10 after 7, and I thought, okay, Atlanta was out there first. Then Inter Miami came out, they were in their warm-up outfits, uniforms. They practiced, warm up. I'm thinking everything's going okay, but then I see Luis Robles is running off the field and goes into the tunnel. Then he comes back out. Then the players all go into their respective locker rooms like normal. And, it was still... I still thought that they were going to play. There was still the possibility that maybe they wouldn't, but it seemed like everything was leaning toward they were going to play. The refs were there. They were there. They warmed up. They sprinkled the field, with the sprinklers. But then when it got to be 8 o'clock and the game was supposed to be starting and there was nobody on the field, and, then I started thinking, oh my goodness, maybe they're not going to play. And, I did a story that ran today. It was online yesterday, but I spoke to an Atlanta player who was very involved in the whole thing. And, basically the entire decision was made in 30 minutes. It was very much a spur-of-the-moment, real-time decision. This is not something that was planned in advance. This is something that came about, as he described it, organically, very quickly, in a span of 30 minutes. They went from, yes, we're going to play, to no, we're not going to play. And, there's a group that was formed this year within MLS, which is Black Players for Change, and it's a organization within MLS of Black players in the league, and they contacted the 6 games that were going on, well, the 5, because the other one had already started. They contacted those teams' representatives and basically, kind of asked them to be in solidarity with the other leagues, with the NBA, and to not play. And so the captains had to very quickly, Luis Robles and Brad Guzan, they got together and they decided. It was very quick. The whole thing was a half an hour decision. So, but it was chaotic. It was chaotic and confusing and, disappointing too, because this team has been through so much suffering, and, they finally played a game at home. They finally got a win. And they had a little bit of momentum going for a change for this team. And then the game didn't happen. So, it was just a bit deflating, confusing, and, very, very unusual night.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It was weird. I was doing a pregame show, and we're doing it like the game's going, and I kind of knew already at that point that it wasn't going to happen. But you're in that game mode, and then you're thinking. And then once I saw Pizarro didn't have his uniform on, he had his practice stuff on, I was like, okay, we're done, dude. It's over, because that's one thing I learned from covering all the other sports. All right, look, are their ankles taped, this, that, whatever, do they look like they're dressed like for a game, or are they injured or whatever? And you do that in practice, you do it in a game when you're a reporter, all that stuff. And it was just a different thing. Did you notice, by the way, what went on in Utah?
Yes, I saw it went on in Utah. Yeah, with their owner.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
The league is investigating. Yeah, the league is investigating to see. The guy backtracked a little bit on his comments, saying, that he thought more about it and he didn't really. He was thinking more about how it was going to hurt him and the team, and now he's, he backtracked some. But the league is looking in to make sure that there aren't any, racist tendencies on his part or whatever, because it would be very difficult for him to, be an owner and a leader of that team if he's not, the owner basically said that episode, that boycott makes him less inclined to want to spend money on the team, less inclined to want to invest in the team. So, that's an unfortunate situation.
Well, and I think the backtracking came out of, obviously, the heat he's getting now from his own players. And then remember, Josie Altidore is part of this group that wants to buy him out.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I saw him came out and said, Josie came out yesterday and brought that up again, that he has a group that wants to buy them out.
Yeah, so, that's the kind of stuff that, we're talking. See, you and I noticed this because we follow all sports. You and I are all sports people. But there's a lot of people in our country that are like, screw hockey and screw baseball and screw soccer and all that stuff. People don't realize how much stronger the MLS is getting year by year. We're about to get 30 teams in 2 years now. And now these franchise fees, what are they up to, like 400 or 500 million or something like that?
Yeah, they're around 300 million.
Yeah, so now these franchises are worth a lot of money now, and it's a league that's producing money. And so now if you're screwing off like this owner, they could easily boot you out, and there's going to be a list of 5-7 people easily ready to buy, because even NBA players, other people are investing in MLS now, NFL owners, all that. Why? Because they see what's coming, and they know the future is soccer. They see how young people are going to soccer. They see that the MLS has the youngest demographic out of all sports. So that means they have more potential to grow than all the sports, because when you're the youngest, that means you are going to catch your generation from an early age all the way through. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so now that owner has to be very careful, because maybe 15 years ago, it would be hard to replace you and we got to contract you like we suffered. Nowadays, we can replace you with ease.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was a dumb comment. I mean, especially in today's world, today's political climate, this guy's the owner of a team that's multiracial in a league that's multiracial. I mean, it's really just a stupid thing to say. I think he just was, was just upset that it was done so quickly. It was obviously something organized by the players at the last minute that nobody was ready for it. The owners and everybody sitting in the stadium ready for their games, preparing for their games, the TV crews, the radio, the media, whatever. And they were actually going to have fans in the stands in Salt Lake City. So that was the other thing. Orlando and Salt Lake were two cities that were having fans in the seats. So they had sold tickets for that game in Salt Lake City. And, the idea that 30 minutes before a game it just gets canceled without him knowing, I think it was a spur-of-the-moment comment, but it obviously showed his true colors, but a very dumb thing to say, and he's definitely paying a price for it now.
Let me ask you, he says he may not want to spend as much. How about guys not wanting to go there now? You know what I mean?
Right.
He better be careful on that, because you start to create an environment that, some of the owners that are smart are the ones that are reaching out to their players and meeting their players halfway. The guys that want to, act like NFL owners, you're gonna have some problems in this in the way the world is going, in the direction we're going.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they definitely the owners and the coaches that are trying to be more receptive and trying to understand what the players are protesting, why it is that they feel how they feel. They're the ones who are going to be more respected among the players. And obviously, Salt Lake right now, Salt Lake would not be the number one choice probably for a lot of MLS players, especially players of color, Hispanic, whatever, because the owner just very much dismissed the whole thing. So, yeah.
I'm with you.
That was dumb. A dumb business decision.
The good thing about the postponement of the game, I know he was going to play but he was banged up in the last game, Reyes, and he's so important to their defense. This actually buys him a couple of extra days. There is the one positive that I could see out of the postponement.
Yeah, I still think it's a negative for them because they really had momentum. They lost a home game. I mean, I assume that they're going to, I asked the league if they are planning to replay these games. I'm not sure when.
Oh, I got it for you.
Okay.
I already was told the date. Here, I'll give it to you right now. Here it is. The game will be rescheduled September 9th at 8 p.m. Okay.
September 9th at 8 p.m. Okay. Well, you know something I don't know then. All right.
I work for the team. I just can't say a lot of things publicly sometimes. But, I find out about some things, but now I can't say anything. That's the worst part about it. Michelle,
right.
Tell me things, and I can't say anything. I'm stuck with it.
So it's going to be Wednesday. So Wednesday, September 9th, they'll replace this game.
Yeah.
Which is good. Okay, so they'll get a home game. Still they were coming off. That was a really good confidence boost for the team, that game last Saturday at home. And then to come back and play back-to-back at home would have been a real nice boost for them, I think. And against the Atlanta team that's kind of been, up and down and struggling themselves. Now they're going on the road. They're going to play Nashville. Nashville's coming off a loss to Atlanta, so maybe they can be beaten on the road. Then they have they have 2 games on the road in a row, so they don't come back to Miami until Sunday, September 6th. So, it's not going to be the same. I'm glad that they're getting the home game on the 9th, so that at least they will get another home game. But they did lose some momentum by not playing on Wednesday. But it is what it is. I mean, they wanted to make a statement that their feelings on this topic are more important than the game, and so they gave up. They were willing to give up an opportunity to play another home game. So, we'll have to wait now and see what happens on the road Sunday at Nashville. Then they play at Atlanta, and then they'll come back here to play Nashville on the 6th, and I guess they'll play Atlanta then on the 9th. So
I feel good about them on Sunday. I think they're a better team than Nashville. And we haven't talked about this, but the performance last week was, man, that was beautiful. I know towards the end, the injury to Andres, he had to get out, and that's why I'm glad he got a couple extra days to rest. And then they put in the subs, and they kind of had to hang on for the last 20, 25 minutes. But before those 20, 25 minutes, clearly the best performance of the year. The chemistry, everything, the adjustments they made to the roster, all of that. I just thought it worked out beautifully on Saturday.
Yeah, they played much better. I mean, that was the best that they had played. Pizarro said that they changed the tactics a little bit. Diego Alonso told them not to pressure high as much, to pressure more in the middle, but not as much high. They were a high-pressuring team, in most of the other games, and so he said that gave them more freedom. They were rotating a lot, left, right, center, between him and Pellegrini and Carranza. They were kind of moving around and rotating, and he said it gave him a lot of freedom to move around, and as long as the other guys were rotating with him, which they were. The offense definitely looked much more fluid, much more productive. There was just much more happening on the offensive side, and then defensively, they had LGP, Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, played his first game for them, and that's a very veteran guy that you've got in the back who's got tons of MLS experience. He knows the opponents. He knows the opposing players. So having him, alongside Nico Figal is a really good thing, I think, in the back. And now coming back, Robbie Robinson is back with the squad.
Yeah.
So, I liked him. The first few games, I thought he played really well. He had a lot of potential. So he's back in the mix. So, I don't know how and when he will, get back on the field, but he's back with the group. He will obviously be available for the game at Nashville, and maybe he'll get back in there, and we'll see.
All right.
And as far as the big signing, I know because you always ask me that.
Always number 9, baby. Give me a number 9.
Yes. Well, all I can tell you is that I would say that if you were guessing between if there's any chance to get Messi or Luis Suarez, I would say Messi, cross him off the list. I would say Suarez is definitely still a maybe. It's somebody that is still
Wow.
talking to the club, and they are talking to him and making offers. Messi's another galaxy.
Yeah,
That's not happening.
No.
Yeah.
Look, if it got down to $100 million transfer, we were in our second year at Miami Freedom Park. The team is kicking. The stadium's loaded. Then maybe I can see Jorge doing something crazy like that because he is so dedicated to winning. I could see him doing something like that. But at 700 or 500 or 400 or 300 or 200, and in a pandemic where it's an empty stadium and it's not even their real stadium that they want, the one in Freedom Park is the one they want, I don't see it happen. You got to be in Freedom Park loaded with all the revenue streams rocking and all that for him to say, you know what, I'll take this sacrifice and I'll do it because, hey, I want to win big time. I can see something like that, but it's in another scenario in years from now. Now, saying that, mentioning Miami Freedom Park, I know with the pandemic and everything else going on, have you heard anything? Is there any progress there, or because of the pandemic?
I don't think there's any progress. At this point, I don't think there's been anything. During the pandemic, I haven't heard boo about Miami Freedom Park, and I don't think it would be good optics either right now for them to be, it's just...
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Right now, it's just, right now they need to just focus on keeping everybody safe that's with their team, deal with, they've lost so much money by not having fans in the stands and just the merchandise and parking and concessions and tickets. Everything, they lost everything this year. They've had no revenue so far except for a little bit of TV, and it's very little. They only played 3 games in the tournament. So, this is not a time to be like talking about Miami Freedom Park or, again, like you said, Messi. I think he wants to stay in Europe for a couple more years, and then maybe in 2022, after a few more years when he's really at the tail end, that's when he may come here, kind of like a David Beckham. Maybe he would decide to come over here. Maybe the league would give him some kind of deal like what Beckham got, where he would become, an owner of a team or a partial. They would tell him, okay, you're not only going to be playing for the team, but you're going to be an owner when you retire. And, they can put together some kind of creative deal at some point to make it more lucrative. But right now with the pandemic, with them playing in Fort Lauderdale in front of an empty stadium, and all the money that they've lost, I just, that's just not, that's a pipe dream. That's not going to happen.
All right, Michelle, what are you working on so Inter Miami fans can check you out at the Miami Herald leading up to our big game on Sunday?
Yeah, well, look on tomorrow online. I'll have the preview of the game against Nashville, and then Sunday night I'll be covering the Nashville game. I won't be there live, but I will be covering it off TV, unfortunately, something I also have never done in my, not till this year. I've never covered a game off TV in 32 years of sports writing until this year. But, it is what it is. We're not traveling as much these days. So I'll be covering the game Sunday, but I'll have a nice preview tomorrow. Look online, by early afternoon tomorrow. It'll be posted, and then I'll be covering the game live. I'll be tweeting about it live during the game, and then, the game story with quotes and everything will be posted post-game.
You are awesome as always, Michelle. Thank you for taking some time. Stay safe. And
all right, you too.
Let's hope for a big win on Sunday. Make it 2 in a row. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
You got it.
Bye-bye.